This is the brand new F9 Kontakt Kick Designer. As you can see, there are 5 modules. We have one dedicated to the main kick, one to apply an additional transient, and then 3 layering modules. I'm just going to solo the kick for the minute. To change the kick drum, just click on the kick name and it will bring up the menu of all of the different kicks you can use. As you can see, we've now given them all names, and that will become useful as you start to pick transients, that kind of thing. You can also navigate through the kicks using these forward and backward buttons. Each module has its own set of controls. We've got pitch, fine pitch, and an envelope that is perfect for percussive materials. It is attack, hold, and then release. So attack is how quickly it's going to go up to full volume. Hold is how long in milliseconds it's going to hold that kick drum open for. And then release allows you to tailor everything. Let me just show you on the kick that you can really get some interesting stuff going. So you can really dial in the length of your kick, and honestly the length of your kick is so important these days with bass heavy music. If you're familiar with F9 Kick, you know by now that we pulled out all of the individual transients from the kicks and separated them from the tonal bodies. So this second module is designed for layering an additional transient. And you can pick the transients using the same method. Control the length and the softness by just pulling the attack up a bit. And layer that with your kick drum. We've also got 2 filters. Let me just solo the transient part. I'm going to take all of the bass end out so we're just hitting that extra top. High pass is here, low pass is here. So we can really dial this in. Play with the tuning until it just feels absolutely right. But don't forget we said that we separated out all of the tonal bodies. So let me just solo the kick channel again. If I click on the word kick, it will now go to the body sample. So these have no transients. So we can then pick whichever transient we want to go with it. And dial in however we like. The F9 logo, if you click and hold up on it, will become an overdrive control. You can even use the exact same body and transient, so totally redesign the transient portion of that kick drum. If you're wondering about the meters here, everything is wired correctly, but I'm afraid the meters inside of Kontakt don't pick up on transients very well. And don't forget, every module has its own drop zone. So that means you can take any sample you like this old Freemasons kick, dump it in there. It will say use a sample up in this section, and then you can sculpt it however you like. But the joy of this library has always been about adding these additional layers. On this first layer, I can select any of the different layer samples that we've got. So we've got ambience, digital, grunge, big reverbs, and tops. I'm using this ambient sample at the moment. This second layer is actually muted, so let's just unmute that. Don't need the very front. Let's just open it up a bit. And we've got this top sample, a little hi-hat sample, ever so quietly just ticking away on the top. So just the kick. Now all of the layers. All together now. Great, now we need some presets to get you going, right? Well, if you click on the waveform up here, you'll see the preset menu. You can click on any of these. And use the scroll buttons to come down to lower ones. And if you want to save at any point, all you got to do is just enter your new name in the text box here. So with all of this layering, it would be great fun to just quickly move things around, right? Well, that's what this little dice icon does just here. It doesn't move any of your sound design parameters, but it just changes the options in each of the different slots. If you're wondering where the MPC kicks are, they are activated by pressing the word kick. When it's yellow, those are the MPC kicks. The change is subtle. But there is just a touch more bite out of the MPC on certain kicks, but not quite as much subsonic information, so do be aware of that. Okay, let me take you through some of the other controls. The fine control here is a fine control adjustment for the entire patch, so absolutely everything. So let's open it all up, and it goes a little bit further. I think it's about 4 semitones in either direction. So once you've dialed a kick tone in, you can then just really fine-tune it with that against your track. There is a Transient master plugin inside internally in the instrument, and this will control the attack and sustain portions. This macro controls how the kick responds to incoming velocity information on the notes. All the way down means everything's just going to fire at full velocity, and if you turn it up, both the filter and then the volume can be controlled via velocity of your MIDI notes. Kontakt has an SSL Modeled EQ, and we've used it here. You can turn it on and off with this switch. And as you can hear, it's quite serious. If you want the top or bottom bands to work in peak mode, just press where it says frequency, and then when it's dark, it's in peak mode. And SSL EQs are not subtle, so if you're not used to them, you're not going to have to move these very far at all, unless you're looking for effects. Next in the effects chain is the feedback compressor. This compressor has no threshold, it is a fixed threshold, so you drive into it with the input knob. So you may have to rebalance with the output here afterwards. You have a gain reduction meter. And all the controls you'd expect. This is wonderful in parallel, which is why we've got the mix control in there. At the end, there is a limiter that works a bit similar to the old Waves L1, L2. You can turn it on and off again here, but do note, it's doing the least when it's far on to the right, and then you can bring it slowly to the left. Now, I'm going to turn it down because it's going to get loud. And you compare that with the master control here that, as you can see, is actually connected to the full output of Kontakt. I'm sure you can see that when you add all of these separate little tools together and start layering things up, this is one of the most powerful kick designing systems that we could have put together. I'm thrilled with it, and every single time I put this into a track, it works within minutes, and that is what we're trying to do, because there is nothing worse than fighting your bass end whilst you try to get everything working in a track. Every single producer struggles with this, and we're dedicated with some of the tools we've released just recently, including the impact basses, to try and make your bass end work as easy as humanly possible. This is just part of the massive V1.5 update for F9 Kick. Don't forget to see all of the rest of the details, either on the product page or with other videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.